All right, today we are going to work on finding patterns in numbers. So let me make this full screen here. All right, so what our investigation is going to be for the next few lessons is looking at different patterns in numbers, seeing if we can describe those patterns, use those patterns to extend sequences, to find missing numbers, and hopefully after we see several of these, we'll kind of put a picture in our mind of what these look like, and this is going to help us with solving equations. It will help us with writing equations. It will help us with graphing. So just kind of to build that number sense of different things that you might see. So let's take a look at a few different things here. All right, so what I want you to do is take a look. I'm going to have you pause the video here in just a moment, and I want you to look at these 5 different sequences, all right, and see if you can describe how it's changing. So how do we go from the first number to the second number to the third number and on and on and on, and see if you can describe that pattern in words and as best you can, and then I'll come back and then kind of go through these with you. So go ahead and pause the video, look at these 5 things and see what you can do. All right, so hopefully you have had a moment to go through all these. So let's go ahead and look at all these and see how you can describe it. So notice as I go from 1 to 2, I add 1, and then I keep doing that sequence all the way through here. I'm adding 1 the whole time. So what you see is what we call a constant rate of change. All right, so we would say that our sequence has a constant rate of change. All right, and that would be of 1. So what we're saying is that to get to the next term, I'm always adding 1. Add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1. Now if we look at our next guy here, we have plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. And so once again, we see that we're having a constant rate of change, all right, to get from one number to the next number. This guy is not changing, so constant, and I'm just going to abbreviate rate of change as ROC of 3. Now notice the next one though. All right, so notice here, all right, we are actually decreasing. And how do I go from negative 7 to negative 11? Is I subtract 4. And from negative 11 to negative 15 is I subtract 4 and subtract 4 and subtract 4 and subtract 4. So once again, we have a constant rate of change. So a constant rate of change of negative 4. All right, now we look at this, it's going up, and it's going up from term to term by 5 each time. So once again, all right, you're probably seeing that there's a certain thing that I wanted you to discover today, and it's seeing this constant rate of change. All right, and finally on the last one, we go 17 to 8. Notice we decrease, so that means I'm subtracting 9 or adding negative 9, which means the same thing. All right, so from term to term, just like so. And so we would say we have a constant rate of change of negative 9. All right, so that really means that to get to the next term, we're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Now, what's important is that this creates a special relationship in mathematics when the way we go from term to term remains the same each and every time. And to give you a picture of that, let's look at the graphs of some of these sequences here. So if I were just to graph this, and we say my 0 term was 1, my first term was 2, or my 1 term was 2, and we keep going, what you see, okay, here's 1, 2, 3, oh, let me go back here, clicked on that, 1, 2, 3, and we can see that this is going up from left to right. For every horizontal change, I get one vertical change. All right, so you can see that, oh, I keep clicking on that. All right, so we can see that this forms what we call a line. And the definition of a line is something where we have that constant rate of change. It never changes. If we look at our second sequence that we have, man, I keep clicking on that this morning. All right, we can see we're going up by 3 here. Notice, as I move to the right one, my dots increase by 3. To the right one, my dots increase by 3. So we can see for every horizontal change, we have a rate of change in the vertical direction of 3. And that gets into a big idea that rate of change is the change in your y to the change in your x. So your x is your step to the right or left. Your y is your step up or down. All right, so if we were to look at this, all right, and I draw a line here, okay, so if I go up I went up 3 for 1 change in the horizontal direction. All right, and so we would say our rate of change would be 3 to 1. All right, so I changed 3 for every step to the right. All right, that's a very, very big idea that we will continue to explore. Now, if we look at a couple more here, all right, and you can see this is the one where we were saying we were going down for. Now, notice we still get a line, but because our rate of change was negative, our line is going down. Okay, once again, we have a rate of change here of 5. You can see that I go up 5 and over 1, up 5, over 1, up 5, over 1. All right, and we can see that pattern, every time we have a constant rate of change, we have a line. Okay, and that line is going to go up if that constant rate of change is positive. It's going to go down if that constant rate of change is negative. All right, so let's look at how we can then take this information. All right, now that I want to click, it won't click over. Click over. There we go. Come back. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to do the first one here with you. And then, so what we want to do then is also be able to take this and extend the pattern. All right, so I'm going to do the first one here with you. So when I go from -8 to -5, I went up 3. All right, so I went up 3. And then when I went from -5 to -2, I went up 3. And from -2 to 1, I go up 3. From 1 to 4, I go up 3. So then what we want to do is repeat this pattern to fill in the next 3 terms. And I'm just going to keep adding 3, and there's my guy. All right, so what I want you to do now is just go ahead and pause the video, all right, and then I would like you to see if you can continue the sequence, all right, for the next 2 examples. And then once you're finished, turn it back on, we'll see how you did. All right, so let's take a look real quick at those 2 and see how you did. All right, so you can see there's the first one that I did with you right here. All right, now notice on this one I am subtracting 5 each time. So to continue that pattern, you should get -18, -23, -28. Now notice this one. Not all of our rate of changes are nice, pretty integer, whole number kinds of things. So notice I'm adding 1.5, adding 1.5, adding 1.5, and so on and so on. So our rate of change does not have to be a whole number or an integer. It could be a fraction. It could be a decimal of any type. The important thing is for it to be linear pattern, that whatever we are adding or subtracting has to be the same each and every time. All right, so now let's see if you can take this and now work it in both directions. So once again, I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video, and I would like you to extend the sequence to the right for 3 terms and to the left for 3 terms, and then turn it back on and we'll see how you did. All right, so let's take a look and see how you did here. So when we look at this guy, all right, we started in the middle here. All right, so this is where you started. All right, right here, these were your 3 or 5 terms. All right, and you can see when I go here, I am adding 6 and going up each time by 6. And if I continue that to the right, I should get 18, 24, and 30. Now, what I should do now is I'm reversing this. So since I add 6 going this way, to get my terms on the left, I have to subtract 6, and then subtract 6. All right, for the next one, all right, you started with 7. Ooh, that was bad. See if I can straighten that one up. 17 and to 1. So these were your 3 guys. Now hopefully you can see that with these 5 terms that you are decreasing. And the question is now, how much am I decreasing by? So I'm subtracting 4, subtracting 4, subtracting 4. And then if I continue that pattern to the right, I should get -3, -7, and -11. Now, once again, if I'm reversing this, if I'm subtracting 4 as I move to the right, to reverse it, I have to add 4 to work backwards to get those other 2 terms. All right, so that concludes this lesson. All right, so go ahead and do the self-assessment questions after that. Submit those, and then come see me, and we'll go through your results.